Peace. It's good. How y'all doing? This is ZaZa Ali. Let me bring this image up real quick. I did a couple of videos with voiceovers, so I can just it's a different frequency. When all I have to do is just talk and express myself. Let me make sure you guys can hear me first. Testing. Okay, yeah. It's a different frequency for me. When all I have to do is talk, I don't have to think about my facial expressions and you know what I mean? I'm very critical. I analyze myself, to a fault. So sometimes, I'm listening to how I sound and then I'm looking at my face and I'm like, you are not really that upset. So I go through a whole little thing with the video process. So, I'm going to start doing videos, not all of them, but some of them where I'm just kind of doing voiceovers and, just give you something nice and simple to look at. And hopefully people can, resonate with my voice and the message that I am trying to convey. So this particular video is for those of you guys that, that are struggling right now with your jobs being on the line, that are basically being told that if you don't, submit to take the, what, which that's how we know it's ungodly, right? God never has to threaten you with, choices, making demands, right? You do or you don't. It's no big deal. The universe moves on. But the fact that people's feet are being held to the fire, so to speak, behind this choice just really speaks volumes to how demonic and wicked and satanic this agenda is, and how people can't see it. I just have no idea. I know that, let me get my notes. I know that, the offer for most people is, either the the V word, or you have to submit to the testing. And I've had like 10 people write me and say it's like twice a week. So I'm thinking that they're trying to inconvenience people so much that they either, consent or concede, or, decide to do something else. But I just want to make sure I emphasize that those tests are not, they're not, they're not without, they are not without their own set of, ramifications and circumstances. And I don't want to go into a space that could potentially make, to throw the energy off. So I won't get too deep into that. But the tests are not, are not without their own particular consequences. And I'll leave it at that. And I talked about the tests in the Science as a Weapon series, so you can go back and look at that. And of course, there's up-to-date developments on all of that stuff, but this video is not about that. So this video is about reminding you who you are, right? So the first thing I want to say is, if you are in a situation now where you've received notice from your job, or it's coming, that you've received notice, that the ultimatum is getting ready to be made, the first thing I want to say is stop and breathe and relax. Just relax. Because this moment in time is so much bigger than all of us, and it's relative to our personal lives, yes, but this moment in time is going to go down in the history of the world, at least to this point, as the biggest, most substantial, most, if there was a time to stand up, if ever there was a time to have courage, if ever there was a time to let your heart lead you and guide you in the history of the world, now would be that time. And if you ever wanted to have your moment of glory, where the world recognized your name, or your family recognized your name, or you were considered honorable, and people, when people talked about you, it was in a highly favorable way, not like, you saved the world, but like you stood on your square. You know what I mean? This is that time. right now, and heroes and men and women who will be immortalized and talked about for eons and eons and eons of time. I mean, just imagine I'm looking at a Quran. I have a Bible that that's close, that I've been like, we're talking about, we read about, not just through scriptures, but through history books. And, we read about great men and women of hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of years ago, and we daydream about them and we visualize them like, yeah, we're the ones of 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25. These next 3 years are going to be difficult, but understand, we will be the victors in the end, and history is going to have to bow to each and every one of us. Mark my words, right? So that's for those of you guys that are still in the valley of decision, right? Because I know we got to eat. People have to eat. We have families to feed. I have a son. My son's 18 now. Now I got to pay for college and pay for, the insane amount that books cost. I got to get him a car, right? And he's got a job now, so he's making his own way, but still, I got to be able to cover down on my son. Like, in my mind, you know what I mean? I need to be able to make a phone call, get on a plane, go get my son, or have him get on a plane or get in a car, like, immediately now. This is where my mindset is at, right? So I am a very practical, on the ground, spiritual woman, right? I also study nature very intently, and I can tell you for a fact that birds want for nothing, that trees want for nothing. You know what I mean? I know we got some issues with our oceans, and with fake hoax, made up global warming, but it is, what they're doing to our planet is affecting different species on our planet in different ways. But for the most part, nature is thriving and nature is well, right? We are a part of nature. You are a part of nature. So in the same way that, the bears and the bees and the birds and the elephants and the giraffes and all of these beautiful, wonderful creations of the creator are thriving all around us. Grass is thriving. You know what I mean? The trees are blowing in the wind. The palm trees in Southern California are the biggest flex, in my opinion, God has ever made. The palm tree is just the most sexy. Oh man, I love palm trees, right? But they're flourishing. They're not shaking in their boots about getting a paycheck or, cell phone towers, right? So there's a lot to be learned through the study of nature. The planet is 196,940,000 square miles. Most of us in our short lives, spend the majority of our time within a 30-mile radius from where we actually live. And then other people, maybe venture out, do some traveling. Some people move to different places, but for the most part, most of us spend most of our lives in very dedicated, circles and ciphers, right? This is a very big planet. And I drove from Atlanta to California last year. And as much as I hear about homelessness and poverty and, lack, we're running out of space. Where are we going to put new buildings? What happened to my meditation video? Bruh, how you just gonna go out on me like that? Wow, this is not the video. Okay. Well, we're not doing that. We'll go back to Sedona if that's the case. Excuse me. So in driving and just realize how much vast space there is, right? It really kind of redefined how I looked at, where I can go, where should I go? I don't have any limits to where I can go. I'm in LA now. Who knows where I'll be in 2 years? You know what I mean? Like being like water, like Bruce Lee said, and being fluid. Obviously my son's 18 now. So, I have a little bit more leeway, being that he's kind of doing his own thing. Those of you guys that have children, same thing applies. You just got to be a little bit more strategic about it, right? But this is the first thing I want to say. Not the first thing was breathe, relax, come back to the center. Remember that we are not alone, that we have access to guidance and infinite wealth and resources, but we have to get in alignment to be able to access it, right? Excuse me. I did a whole video before this, so my throat is a little, let me drink some water. The second thing I want to say is we all need to start redefining how we live, right? If you are a single mother with children, and you know other single women with children, or you have other family members that are either with child or that are, in alignment with how you think, I think we need to start moving together again. And depending on the proximity of where you work and where you live and all that type of stuff, like, to me, nowhere's off, especially in America. Being international is another conversation. I just right now feel comfortable with the devil I know. You know what I mean? So for me, America is open, you know what I mean, endless. And then outside of that, I'm going to sit back and observe for the next 6 months and see what happens, and then kind of reevaluate. But I think that women coming together and getting a place with other women that have children to take some of that financial burden off is a good idea. I think that families that are separated by states and by cities coming together and moving into maybe a bigger house that has more space, that's more cost efficient, maybe in an area that maybe a little less urbanized, right? A little less city. Red states are probably going to be the states that are going to hold out the longest before it starts getting mandated. If you're still worried about, racism and how white people act, then that might not be the role for you. I don't worry about that type of stuff because I just don't have issues like that. I maintain a frequency everywhere I go, and I receive love everywhere I go. So that's what I expect. Now, obviously, I'm not going to move into, I'm not going to go to, Clarksville, Ku Klux Klanville, Tennessee, and think it's going to be all love. No, this is being strategic, right? But I think that we need to start considering those options, and particularly those among us that have children, that have access to, a wider village, so to speak, of women that can help us take care of those children, come together and start homeschooling without having to worry about, taking on the whole burden of homeschooling. I didn't have a homeschool etiquette. You know what I mean? Like, my son was never homeschooled. He went to African-centered school for a portion of his education. He went to a public school for a portion of his education. Because I don't have a homeschool etiquette, meaning I'm sometimes so in my own mind that, it doesn't really ripple out well for other people. It works great for me, but, when it comes to a class setting and having patience for a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, yeah, not at that time. I could probably do it now, but if I were in this situation, I would already be kind of congregating with the women and the men, the parents in my local environment, maybe people that I knew at the school. And I would be talking about setting up homeschooling programs, like who has room in their house, who can teach science, who can teach math, who can teach history, right? Who's good with the children going outside and, socializing and doing field trips and whatnot. Maybe have a local man from the community that does, martial arts, or is a basketball coach that can come and do PE, right? Like, this is where the village has to step in, and we have to start thinking from a village perspective. So for the people that have children that are concerned about schooling and all that type of stuff, I know it's August, you know what I mean? So some people have already started school, some people, whatever your situation is, I'm trying to give some ideas. And I think what I'm going to do to kind of give you guys a little nudge for me, I have a lecture called Black Women in Antiquity. It was a 3-hour presentation. I've only done it live. I think I did it at University of Nevada, and then I think I did it at in Atlanta. I've only done it live 2, maybe 3 times, but I think I'm going to film that and maybe break it up into sections and put it online, and then possibly create some accompanying worksheets. And that will be the videos will be my love offering to you guys. If I do the worksheets, I just kind of said that off the top of my head. I haven't really thought that through, but if I do worksheets to accompany them, I'll probably sell them on my website for something that won't even be, you know what I mean? It won't be anything that will be startling. It'll be very cost effective, just to kind of compensate me for my time. But I had already decided I was going to do the Black Women in Antiquity as a historical, kind of teaching methodology, so to speak, just to kind of help you guys realize it's not really as difficult as it might seem, and that if we are a village and we do come together and do this collectively, that we can do this. And not only can we do this, but we can do it well. And we can do it the way that it always has been done. So please start congregating with the women and the men and the families in your vicinity, because even if they haven't mandated them for children yet, that is the agenda. I don't want to speak it into existence, but you know what I mean? Like, we've seen how this thing is rolled out. I can't spiritualize this away. Like, we have to deal with the reality here on the ground, and you know, kind of pivoting and learning how to adjust and navigate in accordance. So I offer you guys that, and I'll do my part to kind of help where I can. But we got to get out of the mindset of waiting on anyone outside of ourselves to do for us what we can do for ourselves, right? So teaching children, if it's not your knack, find someone whose it is. And just do the part that you can do. If you're not to sit down in front of a desk and focus on math problems, then you be the one that takes them in the backyard and kick balls and swing bats. And you know what I mean? Like, where there's a will, there's a way. I also want to share with you guys real quick. Let me find this website. There is a site that has exemption forms, and I shared this on my all of my social media pages, but I want to make sure I give it to you guys now. I have seen, hold on, let me find it. Excuse me. I have seen people passing these exemption forms and these questionnaires around and not giving these people proper credit, which I think is very disrespectful, to be honest. Here it is. It's ZaZaAli.com. That's S like Sam, O like Oscar, L like Larry, A like Adam, R like Robert, I like interesting.com. And as you scroll down on the page, there is a section that says C19 forms and resources. And then once you click that, it's going to take you into a portal that will give you access to exemption forms, forms to turn into the school board, forms to challenge the school board, you know, disclosures for questioning your employees, and, you know, like everything you kind of need, at least to get you started on what to do, you know, from here, so that you feel empowered opposed to feeling like a victim, right? So again, they have exemption forms. They have a questionnaire for you to give to your job. You know, the nurses who are now being forced out, you know, they ask that basically it's forms, questionnaires for your employer to fill out, basically making them assume responsibility if anything happens to you, right? Which of course they're not. But it's like a whole, you know, a whole legalese, if you will, of information that will direct you on the best way to go about this and how to kind of legally, you know, approach this. If it should get to the courts, or, you know, kind of preventing it from getting to the courts, and perhaps keeping your job, right? So ZaZaAli.com. I've seen their disclosures being passed around and put up on other people's websites. And I don't know why people won't give credit, because I know where they come from, because I know it's from here. And I just don't, I always want to make sure we give people credit. I don't believe in, you know, making other people's work seem like my work. I think that's a form of being disingenuous. So go to that website. There is an abundance of, like I said, legal language, documentation, disclosures, exemptions, right? To help you at least learn what your options are, right? So there's that. And those of you guys that want to take that, you know, kind of legal perspective, by all means, I support you in that 100%. You definitely probably want to start researching lawyers in your area that will be pro you and pro your agenda, because that in itself is probably going to be, and again, Solari is a good place to start, because they actually, you know, had lawyers that actually created that documentation. But you're going to need to find someone that has experience in the legal field or is an actual lawyer that will help you walk through that process. And of course, we know now that's like finding a needle in a haystack, right? Somebody that is, you know what I mean, on the side of righteousness and not trying to force you to do something against your will. You know, so you might want to get started on that process now, so you can kind of have that resource in your back pocket when and if you should actually need it. So now getting into, let me drink some more water. So getting into the valley of decision. If you've made the decision already, then you've made the decision. A lot of people haven't made the decision yet. And I know they haven't made the decision because they're telling me that they're scared. They're telling me that they don't really know what to do without their job. They're telling me all of the ramifications of standing on what they know is right. And to you, I will say this, you know, your integrity, that voice that speaks to you when you're alone, you know what I mean? That feeling of accountability and responsibility when you look at yourself in the mirror and when you know you're on the right path or when you know you're doing something wrong, right? That inner being, that God consciousness, right? We're at a stage now where denying that voice and denying that clarity and denying that truth that you know is wallowing up in the pit of your, you know, your soul, your spirit, so to speak, ignoring and denying that inner consciousness has grave consequences in this hour, right? And what I don't want to do is tell people what to do. I don't believe in that. You know what I'm saying? Like free will, we all have free will. We can make the choice. It's your choice to be made, right? I also know the agenda of the people that have put forward this agenda, and I know that it is very much anti-God. So I am on my square, and this is my responsibility to inform, right, myself as well as all of you guys that listen to my work, that there is an agenda that if you side with or if you make that step, that you're going to become a part of that agenda, even if you had the best of intentions, even if it was just because you need to feed your family. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a one and done thing. There is a long line of complications that are going to come with that reality, but there's a long line of complications that come with my reality, right? Every day I hear something new about Los Angeles County shutting down this, shutting down that. You can't go here, you can't go there. Like, only thing I'm concerned about is grocery stores and the beach, to be honest, and hitting the highway to go get my son up I-5 if that is the case, right? So I don't really have a lot of, necessities from this world, or needs for that matter. I also know of 2 farmers that are within a 30-mile radius of me that if they ever, tell me that I can't go in the stores, well, I have a plan B. You know what I mean? So I've made those connections within 6 months of being here in LA. So that is another thing. Wherever you are, you either should be growing food. I live in an apartment, so obviously that's not really, a reality for me. And then, I know I can grow a micro garden and all of that stuff, but I don't know how long I'm going to be here. And my lane is right here and where I'm at in this office, you know what I mean? Surrounded by books and researching and writing. And like, this is where I'm at my best. And when I have land, that'll be an option for me. But for right now, I'm being pragmatic and realistic. I have access to farmers, right? So wherever you are, you're either growing or you're learning how to grow food, or just find the people close to you that grow food, right? So we can take oh my God, what if Costco closed down off the shelf, right? Well, I know where I'll go. I'll just get in my car and go see my people that grow food, right? As far as the work situation, right? So the valley of decision. Once you decide, you got to stick with your decision. Don't keep teetering back and forth. I don't know you personally. I don't, you know what I mean? So the reality of your life. And if taking it is the right option for you, then by all means, you know what I mean? Do what's in your best interest. I don't tell people what to do, but I do expose the agenda, right? So make the decision. Once you've made the decision now, this is for the people who have made the decision and are not doing it no matter what. So the first thing was, remember, stop, breathe, relax. You can't, come up with clarity or good ideas or your next move when you're in chaos, right? So all these little things that I'm going to give you guys to do, don't do it when you're chaotic. Don't do it when you're scatterbrained. Don't do it when you're scared. Do it when the house is quiet. Do it when the children are sleeping and you don't have to be interrupted, and sit down and actually like focus some time and attention from a positive, abundant, I'm going to be okay regardless of whom or what type of mindset. First thing, make a list, and you can, save this video, come back to it, or you can write this down now. Make a list of all the things you currently do for your current employer. And now I'm giving you guys, this is what I do with my personal clients, right? We'll sit down and walk through all of this. We'll make the list, then we'll check off what matters, and then we'll, you know what I mean, deduct, add, subtract, all that type of stuff, right? So I'm giving you guys kind of like the basis of how I help my clients get unstuck, so to speak, when it comes to business. Make a list of all the things you do for your current employer, right? So if you're a nurse, you know what I mean, checking patients in, checking patients out, changing catheters, the administrative part of it, how many doctors you navigate or you help, any specific experience that you have that might make you an expert, right? Certifications, you learn how to do CPR, or, I'm speaking specifically for people in the medical industry. Other industries would be like, you have a notary public, you took a class and learned how to do, basic tax, documentation, right? But whatever your particular industry is, write a list of all the things you do for your current employer, everything that you get paid for, right? Then the second thing is, excuse me, make a list of the things that you're not getting from your employer that you should. And this can be, going back 5 years ago, you should have got promoted, but Becky got the job, you know what I mean? Or whatever, I'm being facetious, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you got passed over, or, you feel like you're due a raise, or, you should have had your own office by now, or, so-and-so in human resources keeps, bothering you, or, whatever it is, all those little things that you feel undervalued, underappreciated, right? And the only reason to do this is to get us out of, oh my God, I need this job so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, usually most people that are working have a love-hate relationship with their job, right? So we just want to paint a full picture as we get into the mindset of consciously creating a new reality for you that doesn't have, we don't want to attract another job that's still going to have, Bob the Builder hovering over you as you, create your reports, right? So just identifying kind of this whole process takes you out of the emotion of it. You step back away from it and stop dealing with all of the particulars of the little bitty tidbit things, and just deal with the reality for what it is, right? So first thing, make a list of all the things you do for your job. Number two, the second thing, make a list of all the things that you feel like you should have accomplished by now, or, being overlooked, or little nuances about the company or the business you work. If you work in a medical field, just being in that world right now and having to, toe the line, so to speak, of trying to be a righteous person, and you're surrounded by, lies and falsehoods and whatnot. Like, yeah, you need to be mindful of that, because is this a job really worth fighting for? You know what I'm saying? And the flip side of, the exemptions and going the legal route is that you're still going to be here with these people. So the ostracism could potentially get worse. The nitpicking could potentially get worse. You know what I mean? Is this an environment that is conducive to your mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being? We don't judge our jobs like that. We just think it's, I'm getting the paycheck, I pay my bills, whatever. Not most people don't. But then when you really put it down on paper, it's like, damn, these people have been dragging me through the mud for 20 years. Why am I still here? You know what I'm saying? So remember, you might be an employee, but like, start to think about your job as a partnership. You do something for me, I do something for you. It is a mutually beneficial, contract, so to speak. And whenever it doesn't work for me, I'll leave. And whenever it doesn't work for you, I'll leave, right? But just being pragmatic and taking away all of the emotions of it, right? Number three, what would you do right now for money? Not for money, I'm sorry, for a living, if money was not an option? If you had your choice, like right now, if if you didn't have to pay bills and, you know, you weren't confined by a home mortgage or car payments or, you know, what all of the stuff we have to take care of our responsibility, what would you do? And this is actually, I have a whole section on this in the Change Your Mind from Lack to Abundance. There's a whole section on consciously creating your reality, creating a vision board. Like if you're going to take this process that I'm talking about seriously, I highly recommend you buy that workbook. It's also available in ebook, so you can buy it and it'll come right to your email. But there's like a whole section that walks you through, you know, the process of deciding what you want to come so that you can manifest it. What would you do for a living if money was not a factor? That's your number 3. Number 4, are you more inclined, just based on where you are in your state of mind, in your financial affairs, in your, you know, accountability, responsibility, things you have to pay, are you more inclined now to finding another job or starting a business? And have you considered starting a business? That's a real question that a lot of people that have, if you haven't been self-employed, that's really, really scary, right? But it's absolutely something to be considering right now. And if you haven't considered that and your job's on the line, you know what I mean? You might need to like kind of stop and do a self-reflection, right? Because, you know, this is the time that we're living in where we all are going to be accountable and responsible for our own lives in a much greater way than we have had to be before. There's not going to be a lot of government, you know, overseeing and, you know, systematic overseeing, so to speak, unless you take that route, unless you concede. If you concede, you can go back to minimal normalcy. You know what I mean? At least as far as getting a paycheck is concerned, even though that's going to come with more stipulations as things change and evolve. But that's a question that you have to ask yourself right now. And then, is your particular job or career viable in the broader scope of, you know, the industry, so to speak? Let's say a nurse, right? Even if you can't work in a hospital environment, because you have a certain skill set, you can promote yourself, you know, let's say mobile nurse, right? A caretaker to take care of elderly people, somebody specifically, let's say we do have, you know, Montessori schools and small pockets of schools across the country that, you know, are not really kind of autonomously run, right? They need nurses, they need people on site that have that specific skill set. And there's going to be a whole industry of new jobs and new opportunities that are going to come for people that are not consenting, right? Because those of us, like for me right now, I need a dentist that's not consenting. I need a gynecologist that's not consenting, right? I need that's all I don't even really need a gynecologist, to be honest. That's too much information, but you know, you take care of yourself, you take care of yourself. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to go to the doctor like that. But a dentist would probably be the main thing. Obviously my hair, but I got that covered with, you know, my longtime stylist. You know, all the different areas of, you know, people who service computers, you know what I mean? That are not with the shit. You know, people that build furniture, people that do carpentry, people that build houses, people that write books, people that print books, right? People that cater food, right? Nurses, doctors, everybody, you know, clinics, health, you know, well care, wellness centers and clinics should be popping up everywhere now. I mean, if nobody else is qualified, I know for a fact a nurse is, right? You already got the admin skill set, right? You already know how to engage and deal with the customers. You already have the know-how of how the medical system and the insurance system and the claims and all of that stuff works, right? If that's necessary, right? So you should be exploring all the holistic avenues, whether it's acupressure or, you know, Reiki, or, you know, energy work, right? Those are different, you know, you can go and get certifications in those different fields to, you know, strengthen your resolve, so to speak, and to, you know, up your expertise level, so to speak. But for wellness clinics, I mean, tell me where there isn't a place right now that we don't need that. My friend Lori here in LA, in the LA area, she has a juice bar, and very Black owned, she got a long, strong community support. But in the whole year since last year, her business did very, 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 very well. Mind you, this is while businesses were closed. Only businesses that were considered essential were still open, right? But she thrived, right? Because she's in a wellness space. I'm in a wellness space. That's why I'm not worried about, I work for myself, but like the need for spiritual guidance and for emotional guidance right now is at an all-time high. Why would I be worried about not being able to get a job? I just have to make myself available and make my content, and my frequency in alignment with the type of clients that I want to attract, right? So number 4, decide between a job and a business. And it doesn't have to be a black or white, like, yes, it's business or yes, it's job. Sometimes the question is more important than the answer, right? And I say that all the time. And even my clients will tell you, I have said that till I'm blue in the face. Sometimes just the question, you don't have to answer it. Just take that process and start to ponder it. And then the answer will come to you, So number 5 is, if you decide on business, take number 1, all the things that you do for your current job, right? Now you want to pull that list down and go to number 5 and start to identify businesses where people are self-employed, small or large, that do what you did for themselves at that company, that you do for your company. So let's say, for instance, you're a marketing executive for, a Fortune 500 company or any corporation, right? Now they're mandating this. You're not with it. So now you got to find a way to branch off and do your own thing. So you create a list of things that you do for that specific company. And I guarantee you, out of that list, there's probably 10 things that are interchangeable that you could do in any particular industry, right? If you can succeed in marketing, you can succeed in human resources, right? If you can, doesn't mean, there's specifics to human resources, yes, but you can learn the ropes along the way. But the point is just to identify, once you decide that you want to become self-employed, now you take that skill set that you have at your current company or previous company, and then you start to research people that have become successful business owners doing all the stuff that you do for somebody else. That's going to be a real eye opener right there. Because just for me, and I've been self-employed for, since I was 20. So I haven't worked for anybody in a very, very, very long time, right? But if I actually walked myself through my own little process here and wrote a list of things that I actually do just for me, I could probably cover, 5 or 6 different industries just based on what I do for myself alone, right? One of the other things that I'm going to do, and I've actually already, it's probably like 60% done, but I'm creating a course for people that want to either start a publishing company or people that want to write their own book, right? Because I know that coming in this curve, when this next lockdown comes, and it is coming, I don't want to be the one to put that into the ethers, but all of the signs are pointing in that direction. And just beyond the lockdown, just in the time and space that we're in, I know there's a lot of people that have stories that need to be told. I know there's a lot of people that are looking to get in industries where they can be self-sufficient, that they don't necessarily have to have, a big overhead, or a lot of people, major investors, or, brick and mortar building and all that stuff. Like, yeah, a publishing company is one of those things that you can do from your home. You can do it on a big level and branch out and have an office, or you can do it like I do it. I run my business pretty much from my house. I have a separate office space, but I pretty much do everything that I do here, literally from, scribbling out my skeleton of my book to, creating a manuscript, to the formatting of the book and the spacing of the book, to the design and decor of the workbooks, to understanding the printing process and the binding process and ISBNs and everything that goes with the business of publishing. I know it from top to bottom in my space. Do I know how to publish on a grand, corporate level? No, but I guarantee you I could probably figure it out within a day or two if you give me access to the right tools, right? So this is where you need to be when it comes to all the stuff that you do, right? And don't minimize this list. Like, you know, you can have a major and a minor list, right? Major stuff you do is you report to so-and-so doctors, or you report to the president of the company and you do all their reporting, or, you know, the major list would be the major stuff. And then the minor list would be, you know, helping, you know, staff, you know what I mean, covering shifts when somebody shows up late, or, you know what I mean? Like just really kind of, because this is a feel good moment for you. And especially if you've been at your job for more than 5 years, anything 10 years plus is expertise. And even sometimes 5 years plus is expertise, depending on your specific field, right? There's some fields that everybody just can't do. Like nursing is a field everybody cannot do. I do not have the stomach for blood and guts in any capacity, right? So nursing is just not something I could ever, it's not my lane, right? But the people who have that specific know-how that can go in and see a person get shot up and not pass out, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And if you've been doing that for 5 or more years, 10 plus years, you're an expert in your field. So identify your level of expertise as you're doing this list. And then you feel, I've been at this company for 2 years, but then I was at that company for 3 years. But then, you know, 10 years ago, I also like really start to put your work life down on paper, because the situation is not as bad as you think it is, right? So those 5 things, let's just start there. And there's more to this, but I have a habit of giving more than I need to give until before the time is right, right? I want to give it all to you, but let's just start there. Look at your work life on paper. And to number 5, if you decided that you want another job, right? You don't want to own your own business. You want to attract another job. Then you want to write out what your ideal work environment would be, right? So you're looking at, what do I want my schedule to be? Do I want to be in the same city? Am I ready to relocate? Do I need to be closer to my family because of everything that's going on? Well, my family is in, let's say, Texas. I'm in Chicago. Okay, well, what's the cost of living in Texas? I could probably save money if I move down to, you know, Texas, and then I got my family there to help with the homeschooling situation. So that's going to save me money. Plus, I won't have to be stressed out about my child being in the school system. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just stop for a minute and step back from the emotion and the weight and the pressure of it all, and just breathe a little bit, and let's just look at this with clear and concise energy and intention. This is not as bad as you think it is. And for all of the pressure and all of the weight and all of the ostracizing and demonizing you and minimizing you and trying to make you feel like you're stupid or you're wrong or you're this or you're that, your family is weighing in on you. Imagine what God is thinking about you right now. Everybody's lining up to go in the direction of the devil. Unknowingly, unwittingly, it doesn't really matter. And when I say God, I don't mean a man sitting on a cloud viewing your life and judging you. I'm talking about higher dimensions of consciousness that are kind of sitting around, you know, assessing what's happening on planet Earth right now. Oh, wow, look at how many people are going in the wrong direction. Hey, look, there's a few coming towards us. Imagine that. Because when you walk away from the devil, you walk towards God. You understand what I'm saying? So if you walk away from the devil, be it in the form of a corporation or a job or a business entity or a business partner or whatever it is, trust and believe me, you're going to walk towards God, but you got to walk with faith and you got to walk with knowing. Faith does not mean belief anymore. 2021 and beyond, you have to know. And like I said in that video before, I know that I know that I know that I know. My son will never miss a meal. I will never miss a meal unless I'm fasting. I will never not have a roof over my head unless I'm out camping in Joshua Tree. You understand what I'm saying? Or laying under the stars at the beach. We got to get in the I know that I know that I know that I know that I know. And the same God that put the moon in the sky or the universe that evolved to give us a sun to navigate this planet and gave us a moon to see at night and to guide us through darkness and all of the clouds, the stars in the sky, you know what I mean? And the rich, full wealth and abundance of this planet, do you really think that you won't be provided for and protected? Do you really think there isn't any other option besides take this or else? That's not how God presents itself. God doesn't give you trinkets and give you ultimatums, your health or your job. God gave you an immune system. Why would God need to give you a shot to do what your immune system already does? You understand what I'm saying? And I don't want this video is not about the science. I've read, you know what I mean? We already know what we know what that's about. If you've heard my work before, you know this is not new for me. This is a 10-year process. So none of this information now is new. This has been on the horizon for some time now. We just been asleep at the wheel. So now it's real. You know what I'm saying? So now it's all about consciously creating reality. Stop being a victim to these people that are less than you. And when I say less than you, I'm saying that because anybody that would offer you that type of ultimatum and devalue all your hard work, all your loyalty. A lot of y'all have been loyal to these companies for 10 years, 20 years, 1 year, 2 year, however long it is, right? And rightfully so, if it's a mutually beneficial situation. But a lot of y'all have been loyal to companies that have been shitting on you the whole entire time. So if you're at a company that's been shitting on you the whole entire time, this isn't even a conversation. Make the list and let's keep it pushing. We are in the era for visionaries. This is the era for people that think outside the box. You know what I mean? Everything that everybody needs, there's a separate subset of people now that are not with this, that need all those same things. You understand what I'm saying? There is an entire subset of people that would rather spend their money with people that think like them. So one idea for somebody who has time, and I don't have time to do this type of stuff, but we need directories where we can access those type of people. I need a dentist that is not with it. You know what I mean? Like, we need to be able to identify these people. This is a potential new business idea. And I'm giving it to you guys because it's the nature of the conversation. I don't have time to do that type of stuff, but it's a necessity now. So whatever your particular expertise in your world, in your work environment, like, let that be your focal point. Stop worrying about what, not having and not being able to pay bills and not being able to take care of your children, because you're going to attract more of that into your life. Remember that we have a universe that is one universe of 200 billion galaxies. Excuse me. We're in one galaxy out of, let me just check my math and make sure I'm right, because I believe the most recent fact is, let's see. Astronomers say that there are 100 billion to 200 billion galaxies in the universe, right? We're in one galaxy. Imagine that. So the planet is 196,940,000 square miles, right? That's just the planet. That doesn't include the other that doesn't include the other planets. That doesn't include our solar system. That doesn't include planets upon planets upon, you know what I mean? Like 100 billion to 200 billion would be galaxies. And we worried about putting food on the table when our earth creates every fruit, every vegetable, every rice, every grain, every we worried about money, but what do we really need? What do we really need to function at a high capacity? I'm not talking about red bottom shoes and trips to Greece. You know what I'm saying? Like push back on that for a minute. Because remember, we're going the way that the world isn't going. We're going in an opposite direction of the world. So we can't want and need the same things that everybody else that the people who are going in that direction want and need. It doesn't mean that you won't be able to get on a plane and fly to Greece, you know, in a few years if that's what you want. But yeah, if you try to walk this path, it's going to be a minute. So it can either be a wonderful and enjoyable minute that you're not losing or lacking anything because everywhere I stand is holy ground, or it can be oh my God, I want to go to Greece. I'm just going to take this shot. You know, that low frequency shit that I have no tolerance for. So let me get back to my love frequency, because I made this video because I feel the weight and I feel the pressure that you guys are feeling, but I also feel the dominating and energetic and powerful and, you know what I mean, all encompassing love and a surety of the creator. And I'm not worried, you know what I'm saying, about water shortages and power outages and, you know what I mean, and food shortages. And am I being cautious and careful? Am I making plans? And, you know what I mean, like making sure that like I told you, I've already connected with 2 farmers and I made that happen. I didn't randomly run into people. No, I went and met some people who introduced me to some people because I asked. Right? So the preparation goes without saying, but prepare from a place of ease and from a place of assurity. Don't make this list when you're frustrated and upset and scared, because you won't produce the right level of thought to work through the list. You know what I mean? You won't have clarity about the type of business you want to start or about the company that you would like to attract to work, to be a partner with. Right? So do this when you're in the righteous space. I have a meditation called subconscious mind meditation, reprogramming the subconscious mind meditation. If it's on my YouTube channel, if you just type in subconscious mind meditation and ZaZa Ali, it'll pop right up. Listen to this meditation at night when you're going to sleep. Listen very intently to the words, because the words and the language is a very high vibrational intentional frequency that goes in alignment with this little process, this little list here, you know, that we just talked about. Listen to that meditation at night, and I guarantee you, when you listen to it for 2-3+ days, you'll start to wake up in a different frequency and a different energy. You know, you can work wherever you want. You can own any type of business that you want, but it's only going to work if you believe it. You can get a job at a company making twice as much as you work now without all the headache and all the extra stress, but you only going to get it if you believe it's possible. If you think your job right now is the end all be all and you have to do this because this is the only thing you got going, so shall it be. So that is part of my process that I do with my clients. And I think that's enough, you know, to kind of get you guys started and moving into the space of intention that you're going to need in order to, you know, get through this and thrive, not just survive. We're talking about thriving over here. So I wanted to offer that up to you guys with love, of course, and just, you know, again, stop, breathe, relax. You know what I'm saying? This is if we handle this the right way and we stand strong on our square, there's paradise on the other side of this. I see it. I feel it. I know it. But there's going to be a very, 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 you know what I mean, trepidatious, maybe dark, you know what I'm saying, depending on where you are and what's going on in your world, you know, tunnel that we're going to have to get through in order to get to the other side. But the kingdom of God, you know, when I say the kingdom of God, I'm talking about, you know, a new earth, some people call it, a high vibrational frequency reality where energy is currency. You know what I'm saying? And you get paid or you make money or you travel or you do things based on your frequency. And the higher your frequency, the higher and the greater your experiences. So let's raise our frequency, how we think, how we feel, how we eat, how we breathe, and how we live. And let's go through this little process I gave you guys, just to kind of get the ball rolling, so to speak, get the juices flowing. And of course, you can add to that, take away whatever works best for your personal situation. And let's make some moves based on being clear and based on being confident and based on knowing, opposed to reacting to what a world that is dying and a world that is on its way out is trying to force you to do. All right. Thank you so much, you guys, as always, for your attention and engaging me. ZaZaAli.com is my website. Like I said, I do work personally with clients. If this is not something that you feel you'll be able to do on your own, I might be, you know what I mean? We might make a good team. But whether that, aside from that, I've kind of given you a little array of things to kind of focus on, to kind of get some positive energy flowing, and to remind you of who you are and what you bring to the table and what you're going to bring to the table, wherever you go. All right. ZaZaAli.com is my website. I'll see y'all soon. Peace and love.